So, good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another session of PrepBee. Today, we are diving into another inspiring success story, and I'm fascinated to introduce Jitin, who has recently secured admission in XIMB HRM program. Welcome, Jitin. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thanks for having me.
Now, Jitin, just tell me about your story and the steps that you took to achieve this significant milestone. In short, I would love to know about your S square, which is struggle and success. Struggle to success.
Okay. So first of all, my name is Jitin and I'm from Delhi. I have and I'm working as a recruiter itself in for the past 1 year. So and I started my CAT preparation back in 22, and that preparation was ups and downs with some ups and downs because I started with my CAT 22 preparation after my graduation was completed, and then I prepared well for around 4 5 months, gave my CAT 22, but it didn't go well. Like I scored 60 percentile last year, and then obviously it was a sad thing that I prepared for around 4 5 months and then didn't get a good score. So obviously I had to take a year drop and then work on where I lacked in my previous CAT, work on that, practice more, and obviously manage my work as well during this preparation. And yeah, and this year I was able to get 97 percentile in CAT. So and obviously then
That's so good. That's so good. So now, Jitin, just tell me, how did you feel when you learned that finally you've successfully secured admission in XIMB's HRM program? I mean, I just want to know more about your emotions or the moments that you experienced during that time.
I mean, to be fair, when I got the news, like when I saw it on my mobile screen that, congratulations, you got the admission. So the first
That's
thing
so
was,
good.
like it was an overwhelming feeling because obviously I've been preparing for more than a year, for over 2 years, almost 2 years, I would say, and
Okay.
to get into a good B school and then finally getting that target was a bit of an overwhelming feeling, and obviously I was happy as well to get into the college. So yeah, that's how I felt once I saw the result.
Wonderful. Uh, Jitin, what motivated you to pursue MBA? Like, why MBA was a target for you? And why did you choose XIMB specifically? Like, was it a pre-planned thing or it just went with the flow?
So obviously, uh, MBA, talking about MBA, obviously during my second year of college, I got this interest to learn about business market, the trends that is going on, how things work, everything. So initially that kind of kick-started my interest for MBA during my graduation time. And once I was done with graduation, once I joined my current organization as a recruiter, so that
Mhm.
job role just got that interest in me to get into the HR role, like to understand the domain, understand how HR, obviously we know that HR is kind of responsible for managing the people under an organization. So to get into
So
that
you
role,
mean everything around you revolved and it turned out to be MBA in your mind? Everything was
yes,
into
yes,
that space.
yes. So
Nice.
obviously this job role and everything that kind of got that interest in me for pursuing an MBA. And XIMB specifically is because obviously I've uh, gone through about XIMB through my mentors, some teachers, some of my friends, and how the brand, the name XIMB, the Xavier's Institute of Management, has that value, and how
Plus.
HRM specifically for specifically HRM college like XIM, XLRI, and have that name. So obviously
Mhm.
that's why I had this target of XIMB among the other colleges.
Okay, okay. And now that you are talking about MBA, so what all exams did you appear for, like apart from CAT? And what were your scores in respective exams?
So in 23, I only appeared for CAT. Actually, my focus was only for CAT. And once I got to understand, once I saw that scorecard was out, I
Yeah.
understood that what all colleges, what all calls I can get. So once that was out, I started preparing for my GDP. I didn't focus much on other exams then. So yeah, and talking about CAT, I secured 97 percentile, and section wise, I got around 98 percentile in DILR, 95 in quants, and I think I lagged a bit in VRC, so it was around 86 percentile. So overall, that was my score for CAT.
Okay, all right. Talking about CAT, what was your strategy that you adopted for this preparation? I just want you to tell me a brief preparation strategy, your preparation strategy.
So for CAT, I focused more on after, like I mentioned about CAT 22 didn't go well. So what
Mm-hmm.
I tried was focus more on self preparation rather than going for coaching and all. I mean, obviously I took coaching and
Self preparation, as in what exactly you mean by
self
that?
preparation in the sense invest more time to do questions on my own only, like not
Okay.
to, like if I'm finding a difficulty in doing a question, just invest more time in understanding where I'm facing difficulty and just doing it on my own only. So,
Mm-hmm.
and, so obviously that's something I did, and that the sectionals and mock tests that I took during this CAT preparation had helped me with this thing.
You mean
Doing
initially you felt like you would be preparing more of from individual side rather than going for some coaching or taking guidance from some institute or something like that.
Yeah, so initially I took guidance, but I felt like it was more about how you're doing it on your own, what method suits you, because obviously in coaching they will tell you that there is X method for a question, Y method for a question, but when I did it myself,
Exactly.
I understood that this method suits me. Like, for example, in the quants, there were questions where I preferred the long method than the short method, and I understood I'm more comfortable with that. So I opted for that, and I focused more on practicing on my own, like even
Mm-hmm.
going for sectionals, because VARC is also something where I lagged, and it requires
Oh,
the practice. It requires practice, daily RC practice and all. So I tried with doing sectionals, mocks, and then later on analyzing it on where I went wrong. Like obviously in mocks there weren't like time. There were times like where I didn't score a good marks, so I try to analyze the thing. I try to see where I am making the mistake.
what's your
And
lacking point? This is what you
yes,
mean exactly.
yes, correct. So what's my lacking point? And then later on the next mock, not to repeat that, just keep that in mind on the thing, and just yeah, and that was like my preparation overall.
Now that you mentioned about appearing for mocks, I would ask how many mocks did you appear for?
Uh,
Just you just mentioned about your self-assessment and the way you
hmm.
analyze things and made sure that you develop them. How many mocks did you appear for?
So I'm honestly exactly not sure about the exact number, but
Okay.
it like if I'm talking about a full mock, like a proper the 2 hour mocks, I would say more than around 15, more than 15 I might have given in the 20s during my CAT 23 preparation. And along with that, probably 20, more than 25 plus sectionals, like I mean for overall quant, VRC, LR. So that were like the approx numbers of mocks I had given, because I
And
like I
how
said,
did your preparation go on with PI? What was
uh,
your strategy there?
so for PI, I had joined with PrepBee and gave couple of mock PIs there. I started going through the current affairs because that is where I lagged as well. Because current
Mm-hmm.
affairs is not something I was reading newspapers daily, because obviously in the day-to-day schedule,
It
going
gets
through it
difficult, yeah.
was not possible for me. So obviously then I uh, started my GDPI preparation with this current affair thing. I followed a couple of YouTube channels for the current affairs part, joined with PrepBee for the mock PI preparation, and understood where I'm lacking, in which part, be it the graduation subject or be it the current affairs or any other thing. And other than that, and yeah, and joined the PrepBee for the group discussions and understanding things and everything. So yeah, that was like my GDPI preparation.
What was your how was your PI experience? Just tell me in detail how it
So
went on, how it proceeded.
So for XIMB, the PI, there were three panelists, and each of the panelists
Okay.
were focusing on each different sections. Like one panelist was focused on the HR questions, the typical on why HRM, or tell me about yourself and all. Another panelist focused on the current affairs part, and there was another panelist who focused on the graduation subject. So basically covering all the things which is necessary for a PI. So
Okay.
obviously the first panelist started with the typical HR questions on tell me about yourself, which is not in resume, and why HRM. And I had my answers prepared for that, so I told them. Current affairs also, they started asking me about the elections, the coming elections, and the election commissioner and all. So and I was luckily I was prepared with that questions as well, so I was able to answer it. And
That's nice.
third one was the graduation subject. I fumbled there a bit with the graduation subject because I graduated in 22, so obviously not all the things I was able to remember for that time.
So
But
would you say that the PI went on with the flow very smoothly, or were there few obstructions here and there?
so the initial second two things, the HR questions and CA part went good for me because I was able to answer it, and there were no cross questions, or like it was not a grilling type. But yeah, then the physics part, which is my graduation subject, so physics part came in. There were questions where I was not able to answer it properly, so they were like, you had graduated in this subject and this is your favorite subject, so how you're not able to answer it. So they kind of try to make you feel nervous about it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's all part.
this was how the PI went. So yeah, and I think it was, overall speaking, it was pretty good for me.
Okay. Now that you have successfully secured your XIMB seat, I would just ask you, what are the common mistakes that an aspirant who's very much keenly preparing for the exam they commit, and how did you, in general, navigate through it? What was your way?
Okay, so I think one common mistake for the CAT preparation, CAT or that or any question, anything, I would say is the question selection, because this is where I even lacked, because there are times where I chose, like for example in LRDI, I literally chose the most difficult one and wasted my time for around 10-15 minutes and even chose the wrong answer. So that is
Okay.
something I feel many of the people do in their exams. That obviously the time is limited. You have 40 minutes for each section, so you have to be careful about selecting the question. So I think that is something students should look after, that in their
They should
mocks.
keep in mind the time constraint.
Yes, yes, and that's why mocks are important, because during mocks you will understand on how to select the questions properly. You have your own strategy on, I'll select three questions from here, three from there, and all
So
that
you
kind of
say
strategy.
this would be overcome by taking more mocks and obviously making a self-assessment of the mock that one has appeared for.
Yes, so that taking more marks, and if they have made any mistakes later on, analyzing it and understanding which questions they should have gone for, and next time they won't make the
Yeah.
same mistake. Same goes for the DILR and VRC as well.
So Jitin, now that finally it's XIMB, what is that one thing that you're looking forward to that is fascinating you about XIMB?
So XIMB, I have heard about the vibrant college life there for all the students. So I think that is what I'm looking forward, and obviously the learning that I'm going to get, and not just the learning inside the classroom, but outside the field experience, the with the people around me, with the diverse backgrounds, and understanding things and all the projects, assignments. I know it's going to be hectic, but I'm excited for that as well.
That's really good. Now that finally you've come through it, what is I just want you to give three pieces of advices to the current aspirants who are preparing for this exam and who are a little bit scared and tensed. uh, what would
Uh,
you say to make them feel little better and get away that stress from their shoulders, tiny shoulders in fact?
So I think one point I mentioned earlier was that self preparation, like invest more time on preparing questions on your own, rather than if you practice it for if you practice a question for 5-10 minutes and then you don't get the answer, so you start checking for the answers on the internet or with your friends and all. So I would rather suggest to practice it on your own, understand the questions and everything, be it for any section. Work on the parts where you are lacking, be it a subject or be it any particular subject or be it a particular thing like the VARC was something I was lacking. So I practiced more during my CAT 23 preparation. Second point I would mention is that yeah, work on the question selection for your CAT or that just try to choose the question that you are comfortable doing in, and don't waste try not to waste time on the questions that will be difficult, and so that obviously they will understand when or during this CAT or that journey for whichever they're preparing for. And the third point I will say is don't wait till December to start practicing about current affairs. Like
Yeah.
start it from the start, start
Initial
practicing.
stage itself. Yeah.
Yes, in the initial stages only read newspapers, read about the news, or if you're not into reading, then go through the YouTube channels where you can find the current affairs on a daily basis. So that is something I would suggest for the current affairs.
Perfect. Perfect. Jitin, how was your experience with PrepBee?
With PrepBee, it was pretty good experience for me because obviously last 2-3 months I have been preparing with these mock PIs with the HR questions and everything with PrepBee only for GD as well. So it was pretty good. I was able to understand where I can make mistakes in my PIs. Like
Okay.
specifically in mock PIs, there were mock PIs which didn't go well for me, and obviously the mentors later on told me about how where you can lack and where you have to work on so that in the actual interview you don't mess up the things. So the Preby experience was pretty good for me.
Nice. Well, Jitin, it was a great conversation, I believe. I'm sure PrepBee audience would also love to see this. And it was great talking to you. Thank you. Very good luck.
Thank you so
And
much.
yeah, let's conclude it. Thank you.